episode 10 of Nicole's Weekly Words. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for joining me this week. I am live here on my Facebook page, Sydney English Teacher, over in my Facebook group, The Successful English Learner by Sydney English Teacher, and on my YouTube channel, The Successful English Learner. So thanks for joining me. I am back with 5 great new words that I'd like to teach you this week. Now, if you already know them or you feel that you might recognize them, do still stick with me because I'm giving you lots of meanings, different meanings, and great example sentences. And the whole goal of Nicole's Weekly Words is that you actually use the words. So not just recognizing them when you hear them or you read them, but actually using them confidently and accurately yourself. So stick with me. I've got a great session today with 5 words that all begin with the letter B. If you enjoy Nicole's Weekly Words, please click on the share button down here and share with your family and friends. I would love to help as many of you as possible. So thanks for that. Spread the word. Okay, well, the words I've chosen for this week are the word barrage, brainchild, boisterous, blatant, and bungle. Have you heard of them before? Maybe some of them? Yeah, but the big question is, do you use them? And do you know how to use them? That's what we're going to do together now. Okay, so let's have a look at word number 1. I've chosen the word barrage. Barrage. Can you say that? Barrage. That's right. Okay, and I've got 2 meanings for barrage. Okay, it's usually a barrage of. So we use the preposition of after it. And a barrage of something really means that there is a large number of complaints. There is a lot of criticism, or there are many questions which are suddenly directed at someone. So there's a lot of complaining, criticizing, and questioning to a particular person. You know, one question after the other, one complaint after the other, one criticism after the other. They're never ending. They're usually attacking or complaining or not happy about something, and they want an answer, they want a solution, they want an improvement. So yeah, it's really, maybe someone has done something or said something that people aren't happy about. So a barrage of complaints or criticism or questions come their way. Does that make sense? Okay, and look, the meaning behind this is that there are so many complaints or criticisms or questions coming to them that they can't really handle it. There are too many. They can't answer all of them. They can't deal with all of them. So that's a barrage of. So an example. The newspaper received a barrage of complaints after publicizing the controversial article. So one complaint after the other, complain from many different people because they were not happy with that article. Excellent. Another example. He faced a barrage of questions from the media about his mismanagement of the crisis. So the media was asking one question after the other, you know, question, because he made a mistake. He mismanaged the crisis, and they wanted an answer. They wanted to know why. They wanted to know what went wrong, I suppose, and they wanted him to take responsibility. So that's a barrage of. The second meaning of barrage is really when there's, what should I say, a rapid outpouring of many things at the same time. So what should I say here? Many phone calls or many questions or many requests. So many things happening at the same time, one after the other, and they happen suddenly, you know. Something has started this wave, I suppose, this barrage of questions, phone calls, requests, whatever it might be. They don't have to be negative, you know. It's not like the first meaning where they have to be complaints or criticisms. They could just be events or phone calls or questions or requests. But the fact is that they're all happening suddenly, one after the other. So I have received a barrage of phone calls from an unknown number recently. I'm not really sure who it is, but I think it's someone just trying to sell me something. So there the meaning is that one phone call after another, you know, they keep calling and calling and calling all the time. It's not necessarily a negative thing there, but it just means one phone call after another. Another example, after winning gold at the Olympics, he received a barrage of requests for interviews and appearances. So again there, unlike the first meaning of barrage, it's not really a negative thing here. It's not a bad thing, you know. If you're being requested for interviews and for personal appearances, that's a good thing. So it just means that one after the other, these requests came one after the other because of a particular event. And in this situation, the event was because he won a gold medal at the Olympic Games. So that's barrage. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, just ask them down here in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer. Next word, number 2, is brainchild. Brainchild. Have you heard of this before? Well, it has absolutely nothing to do with the brain of children, okay? A brainchild is basically an idea or a creation or maybe even an invention that originally comes from one particular person. So they were the first person to have this idea or to develop this concept. They originally invented it or thought of it. There was nobody before them who had ever thought of this before. So it could be a plan, it could be an idea, it could be an object. It doesn't really matter. It's just knowing that nobody before them has ever thought of this or invented this or created this before. They are the first. So if they're the first to think about this, it is their brainchild. The brainchild belongs to them, from their brain. The child from their brain, basically. So an example might be, this project was the brainchild of one of our amazing students. Or the new museum is the brainchild of a group of wealthy art collectors. Or the game is great, isn't it? It's my husband's brainchild. So there you go, brainchild. It's really the first thought or creation or invention by one particular person. Number 3, are you ready? The word is boisterous. Boisterous. And look, it's usually used for children. And if you use boisterous to describe children, it means that they are noisy and energetic. They're full of energy. They're lively. Yeah, boisterous children there, you know, jumping around, full of activity. But you could also use it to describe an activity. So an activity could be quite rough or perhaps even unsafe or dangerous or unpredictable. In that situation, the activity could be boisterous. You could even use boisterous to talk about a group of people. This group of people collectively might be very loud or uncontrolled, I suppose, out of control. Or you can use boisterous to talk about nature. So when you're talking about the wind or maybe even the ocean, the sea, it means that it's very stormy and dangerous and unpredictable and anything could happen. So yeah, boisterous for children, for activities, for groups of people, or for nature. Let me give you an example. The kids are always so boisterous when they see each other. They certainly have a lot of fun together. Or, it was such a boisterous game. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to join in. Or, the audience burst into boisterous laughter, which made the nervous comedian relax immediately. Or, we'll have to go back to shore because it's too boisterous here on the open ocean. So I've given you an example there of each of those areas, you know, one about children, one about an activity, one about a group of people, and one about nature. So that's boisterous. Number 4, are you ready? So word number 4 for this week is blatant. Blatant. And if something is blatant, you know, it is very obvious and very intentional. You're doing something bad or negative without really worrying about the consequences, about the outcomes, without really worrying about what will happen or what other people will think. So you're doing it really on purpose, you know, it's not by accident. So this action on purpose without a care of what other people think or what will happen. So in this situation, if you're blatant, you don't really care about the rules. You don't really care about your manners, your etiquette. You don't respect anyone or anything, or even the truth. So you just do or say something that is really offensive, that could really upset people. And you're doing it on purpose. It's not by accident. You want to say or do this. Does that make sense? Yeah, so blatant is something very obvious. You know, you're wanting that negative reaction, that negative outcome. You don't really care. You say it or do it anyway. So for example, he told a blatant lie, even though his mother knew the truth. Or his speech was a blatant attempt to gain followers and get more votes at the election. Or her behavior showed a blatant lack of respect. Or I am disgusted by your blatant discrimination. Or did you hear his blatant attempt to blame everyone except himself? So that's blatant. Quite a few really good sentences there. The last word for this week, are you ready? It is bungle. Bungle, bungle. This is an easy one to remember. It simply means that something is done really clumsily or incompetently, you know. You do something wrong in a really careless way or a stupid way. So you make a mistake and you don't really make that mistake on purpose, I suppose. It's because you don't have the skills or to do it properly, you know, or you don't really make an effort to do it properly. So if it's a bungle, it goes wrong because number 1, you don't have the skills. You're not good enough at that particular thing, so it's a disaster. Or number 2, you have the skills, you're able to do it, but you don't really put in the effort. You don't do it properly. You don't care, I suppose, so it goes wrong. So yeah, bungle means that you're doing something badly. You know, you're not getting the results that you're supposed to or that are expected. And it really ruins or spoils the outcome, the potential outcome that could be. Because you're not doing it properly, you're making a mistake or you're clumsy. Does that make sense? So that's bungle. For example, and it's a verb, the police officer bungled their investigation, even though the outcomes were really promising. Or the prisoners bungled their attempt to escape. And now an extra 5 years have been added to their sentence. So there you go. There are 5 words for this week. I hope you really enjoyed them. And I hope there are some new ones there that you don't know or you haven't heard of before. But if you have heard them all before, I can guarantee that you don't use them all or use them correctly or use them as often as you could. So the job now for you is to practice and to try and use these words throughout the week. That would be amazing if you could use these words. Imagine how impressive your sentences, your conversations, your writing will be if you use these great words. So we've got barrage, brainchild, boisterous, blatant, and bungle. Thank you so much for listening today and for joining me. And thank you for those of you who've come back to watch the replay. I thank you as well. I hope you're enjoying Nicole's Weekly Words and that you're finding it a useful way to develop your vocabulary skills and knowledge and to give you that extra push to use new, different words every week and not use the same vocabulary over and over and over again. Go to my Facebook group, The Successful English Learner by Sydney English Teacher, and download the worksheet from today's episode number 10. And you'll find a list of all the words, all the meanings, and all the example sentences, as well as some room for you to write your own notes and your own sentences. So yeah. Enjoy. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments section here below and I will help and give you a better explanation. I'm also more than happy to look at any sentences that you write. So if you have any example sentences and you're not sure whether they're correct, please do write them below and I'm more than happy to have a look at them for you and give you some feedback. Anyway, have a wonderful week. Have fun with your 5 new words with barrage, brainchild, boisterous, blatant, and bungle. And come back again next week for episode 11. Thank you so much. Bye.